Have you ever found yourself adrift, maybe feeling far from where you truly belong, fighting unseen battles just to return to what you know, to who you really are?
That feeling, that deep sense of wanting home, of displacement. It's as old as stories themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And it's woven right into the fabric of one of humanity's most foundational tales, the epic journey we're diving into today.
Welcome, everyone, to Artificially Literate. This is our deep dive where books, films, ideas, they all meet deep thought and hopefully a lot of curiosity.
It's your space, really, to reflect, maybe learn something new, and just look at the world a little differently.
Every time we try to explore a piece of literature or maybe a film, a cultural moment, and we break down its meanings, both the literal story and the deeper philosophical stuff.
So whether you just love a good story or you're seeking meaning or maybe just enjoy a thoughtful takeaway, we're really glad you're here with us.
We are. And today, we are setting sail on a truly monumental journey through Homer's The Odyssey.
And we're not just going to trace the incredible path of its hero, Odysseus, through all those trials, temptations, and his triumphant return. We also want to unearth the profound philosophical questions it raises.
Right, and explore its surprising resonance with our own lives today. It's not just about what happened back then.
No, it's about what it means for you right now.
Indeed. So our story kicks off with Odysseus, a man famous for his cunning, his resilience, often called that man so ready at need.
But when we first meet him again after Troy, he's trapped, held captive by the nymph Calypso in her holler caves. And he's just desperately longing for home, for Ithaca, his family.
The Trojan War, where he was this huge hero, the mastermind behind the Trojan horse.
Yeah.
That's long over. All the other Greek heroes, the Argives, they've mostly made it back. They escaped the war. They survived the sea journey.
But Odysseus alone suffers. He's craving his wife, Penelope, yearning for that path homeward. He's been stuck there for 7 years already when the main action starts. 7 years.
And that's the immediate question, isn't it? Why him? Why is he the one still suffering, still adrift, when basically everyone else found their way back?
Yeah, and how does that complex, sometimes baffling web of the gods' decisions, how does that shape his seemingly impossible journey? It's not just his actions, it feels like. It's also about what the gods decide, or maybe what they allow.
That's such a crucial way into the Odyssey. Because while most of the gods on Olympus actually pity Odysseus, he was always pious, gave good sacrifices, Poseidon, the god of the sea, is his bitter enemy.
Ah, right, because of the Cyclops incident.
Exactly. He's furious because Odysseus blinded his son, the Cyclops Polyphemus, a story we'll definitely get into. But then you have Athena, gray-eyed Athena, daughter of Zeus. She is deeply rent, is the word Homer uses, by Odysseus' suffering.
She actually confronts Zeus about it, doesn't she? Asks him why he's ignoring Odysseus despite all his sacrifices and his exceptional character.
She does. And Zeus, the father of gods and men, he gives this really interesting response. He reflects on mortal folly, bringing up the fate of Aegisthus.
Aegisthus, remind us, the one who seduced Agamemnon's wife.
That's him. Seduced Clytemnestra, then helped murder Agamemnon when he finally returned from Troy. Zeus points out that humans often bring sorrows beyond that which is ordained onto themselves, even after getting divine warnings.
So like free will leading to suffering.
Pretty much. Zeus reminds Athena that Hermes, the messenger god, explicitly warned Aegisthus not to kill Agamemnon or pursue his wife. He even told him Agamemnon's son, Orestes, would eventually get revenge.
But Aegisthus ignored it.
Completely ignored it. And Zeus says, now hath he paid one price for all. So he's arguing humans make their own beds, essentially.
But that sets up this amazing tension, right? Because Zeus says that, but then Athena is actively getting involved, inspiring Telemachus, helping Odysseus later.
Exactly. It's the core philosophical puzzle. Free will versus divine fate, or maybe divine intervention. Are mortals truly responsible if gods can nudge them, influence their thoughts, maybe even set things up? It makes accountability complicated.
It really does. It's like, yeah, you have choices, but the gods are playing on the same board, sometimes moving your pieces.
It's a dance. Human choice seems to exist within a larger framework. Maybe fate, maybe just divine whim.
Okay, so that idea of divine nudging, that intervention, that brings us perfectly to our first part. The seeds of return, Telemachus' awakening, and divine intervention. Because while Odysseus is stuck miles away on Calypso's island,
Utterly unaware of what's going on back home.
right, his kingdom, Ithaca, is in absolute peril, facing its own huge crisis.
Oh, it's desperate. Odysseus the king has been gone 20 years. Everyone assumes he's dead. And his palace, it's overrun, swarming with these shameless and insolent suitors.
Over 100 of them, right. Just camped out.
Yeah, more than 100. And they're just consuming his wealth, slaughtering his cattle, his sheep, his goats for their endless feasts, drinking all his wine, no thought for the cost, the ruin they're causing.
And the worst part is, they're pressuring Penelope, his loyal wife, to just give up and marry one of them. They figure Odysseus is never coming back, so they might as well take his kingdom and his wife.
Penelope's situation is just agonizing. She's distressed, constantly weeping, but she's also incredibly strong and clever.
Yeah.
You see her resilience in that famous stratagem she comes up with.
The weaving trick. Tell us about that.
Right. She tells the suitors she'll choose one of them, but only after she finishes weaving a funeral shroud for Odysseus' old father, Laertes. A big, elaborate tapestry.
Okay, seems reasonable enough.
But here's the genius part. Every day she weaves, diligently working at the loom. But every night, secretly, by torchlight, she unweaves everything she did that day.
No way. How long did she keep that up?
For 3 years, it bought her crucial time, showing her incredible loyalty and, well, her cunning. But eventually, one of her disloyal maids spills the beans, reveals the trick.
Ah, of course. So she's forced to finish it.
Exactly, bringing her closer and closer to that dreadful choice she's been trying to avoid.
And then there's their son, Telemachus. What's his situation?
Initially, he's just young. He feels powerless. He lacks the confidence, the strength to stand up to these arrogant suitors. He sees his family's wealth being devoured, his home disrespected, and feels helpless.
He even says something like, "We don't have Odysseus here to protect us, and I can't do it myself."
Precisely. He feels the public isn't helping either. He's a prince, but he has no control over his own house. It's a really tough spot for a young man.
But this is where Athena decides, okay, enough is enough. Despite Poseidon's grudge, she's going to help.
Right. She feels for Odysseus, and even Zeus, despite his talk about Aegisthus, admits he can't forget Odysseus, than whom there is no more capable man on earth, he says. So he basically gives Athena the green light.
And how does she help Telemachus? She doesn't just appear as herself, right?
No, she's clever. She disguises herself as Mentes, an old family friend. And she doesn't just give advice, she literally breathes courage into him. She tells him, call an assembly, tell off the suitors, then go find news of your father. Sail to Pylos, sail to Sparta.
So it's a direct divine push.
Absolutely. The text even says Telemachus felt the change, wondered at it, and knew the stranger must have been a god. It gave him courage and focus on his father like never before.
Which brings us back to that free will question, doesn't it? He chooses to go, but the courage, the idea itself, is divinely inspired. Does that make his actions less heroic?
Or maybe it highlights that even heroes need help. That courage often comes from somewhere outside ourselves, or maybe is sparked by something unexpected. It's a fascinating way Homer explores it.
And Telemachus does act immediately. This brings us to Telemachus' journey to Pylos and Lacedaemon. He decides to sail, gets a ship ready in secret.
With help from his loyal old nurse, Euryclea. She's terrified for him, naturally weeping and trying to talk him out of it. But he's firm. He's changed. He's no longer passive.
First stop, Pylos, kingdom of the wise old king Nestor.
Right. And interestingly, when Telemachus arrives, the Pylians are in the middle of this huge public sacrifice to Poseidon.
Whoa, Poseidon, the god who hates his father.
Yeah, it's a great detail. Shows how complex the mortal relationship with the gods is. You still have to honor them, even if one has it out for your family. But Nestor himself is incredibly welcoming. Treats Telemachus like a son, which must have felt amazing after the disrespect back home.
And Nestor shares his wisdom, right? Talks about the aftermath of Troy.
He does. Nestor is the wise elder figure. He recounts how the Greek heroes had fragmented returns, some tragic like Agamemnon's murder, that story again reinforcing the danger. He talks about Menelaus wandering for years.
So basically warning Telemachus that the journey home isn't always easy.
Exactly. And he advises Telemachus to go see Menelaus in Sparta, or Lacedaemon as Homer calls it. Menelaus was the last major hero to get home, so maybe he has news of Odysseus. It's all about seeking counsel from experience.
A timeless lesson, really. Learn from those who've been there.
Definitely. So Telemachus heads off again, growing in confidence, to Lacedaemon, the court of Menelaus and Helen.
Helen of Troy, she's there too.
She is back with Menelaus. And their palace is described as incredibly wealthy, just dripping with splendor, a huge contrast to the chaos in Ithaca. But there's also this undercurrent of sadness, isn't there, for all the losses of the war.
And Helen recognizes Telemachus immediately.
Instantly. She sees the resemblance to Odysseus, It's a really touching moment about the power of family resemblance, of memory enduring over decades. Menelaus sees it too, especially when Telemachus tears up at the mention of his father.
Does Menelaus have news? Does he know anything?
Yes, this is the big breakthrough for Telemachus. Menelaus recounts how he was stranded in Egypt and had to capture Proteus, the shape-shifting old man of the sea, to learn how to get home.
Okay. Standard heroic Tuesday. Capture a sea god.
Ah, right. And Proteus revealed the fates of many heroes, including the fact that Odysseus is alive, but he's being held captive by the nymph Calypso on her island.
Wow. So after 20 years, that's the first concrete news. He's alive, but trapped.
Exactly. It gives Telemachus real, tangible hope, not just wishful thinking anymore.
And then there's an omen as he leaves.
Yes, another divine sign. An eagle flies past, clutching a goose in its talons. And Helen, who seems quite adept at interpreting these things, declares it's an omen. Odysseus will return soon, like that eagle, and take his vengeance on the suitors, the helpless geese.
People really believed in those signs back then, huh? Seeing divine messages in nature.
Absolutely. It shaped their understanding, gave them hope or warning. And you see Telemachus changing, too. He's grateful for the news, but now he's eager to get back home, feeling this new weight of responsibility to protect his mother and his estate. He's really stepped up.
But back in Ithaca, the suitors find out he actually managed to leave.
Oh, they find out and they are furious. This leads us to the suitors' conspiracy.
They don't just want to stop him, they want to.
Kill him. Antineus, the most arrogant one, is enraged. He can't believe Telemachus pulled it off. He immediately proposes they take a fast ship, lie in wait in the straits between Ithaca and Samos, and ambush him on his way back.
That's cold-blooded. Shows their true colors. They're not just annoying house guests, they're ruthless. They fear Odysseus' line continuing.
Totally ruthless. They want to eliminate the threat completely. And when Penelope hears about this plot, she's devastated, renewed grief, terror for her son now, too. She feels so vulnerable.
Does anyone comfort her?
Her loyal nurse, Euryclea, the one who knew Telemachus was leaving. She tries to reassure Penelope, hints that the gods, specifically Athena, might be watching over them. But the danger feels incredibly real. The tension is just ratcheting up back home.
Okay, so with that cliffhanger in Ithaca, let's pivot. We need to catch up with the man himself. This brings us to part 2, the hero's Odyssey trials, temptations, and the journey back. Where is Odysseus while all this is happening?
Still on Calypso's island, Ogygia. And Homer paints it as this incredibly beautiful place. Fragrant woods, meadows bursting with violets, clear streams, like paradise.
Sounds nice. A forced vacation in paradise.
Huh. Not for Odysseus. It's a gilded cage. He spends his days sitting on the shore, weeping, staring out at the sea, just longing for Ithaca. Homer says he's tired of life and just wants to see the smoke from his own chimneys again. The beauty around him means nothing. It's imprisonment.
Even Hermes, the messenger god, when he arrives, he remarks on how beautiful the island is, right?
He does. He's impressed. But he's there on a mission from Zeus. Tell Calypso she has to let Odysseus go. It's a direct order from the king of the gods. No arguments.
How does Calypso take that? She wanted to keep him, make him immortal, didn't she?
She is furious. She trembles with rage and gives this passionate speech about the double standards of the gods, how male gods can have mortal lovers, but goddesses always get grief if they take up with a mortal man. She mentions Orion, Iasian.
So divine jealousy is a thing.
Oh, yeah. She genuinely loved Odysseus, in her way, wanted to make him immortal, ageless, but now she's forced to give him up. It's a tough pill to swallow, even for a nymph.
And Odysseus, does he just jump at the chance to leave? Or is he wary?
He's incredibly wary. After everything he's been through, he doesn't trust easily. He actually makes Calypso swear a solemn oath, a binding oath by the river Styx, that she won't plot any more mischief against him once he sets sail. He needs that divine guarantee, shows how much hardship has shaped him.
Smart man. So he builds a raft and sets off, smooth sailing.
Not a chance. Poseidon spots him. And all that suppressed rage boils over. He sends a massive storm, smashes the raft to pieces. Odysseus is clinging to wreckage, battling mountainous waves.
Just brutal survival.
Totally. He only survives thanks to help from another sea deity, the nymph Ino, who gives him her magic veil to keep him afloat. And Athena steps in too, calming the winds. He finally washes ashore after 17 days of struggle, more dead than alive.
That image of him clinging to the timbers, Homer compares it to seeing a sick father start to recover. It's so visceral, so human.
It really is. And that whole episode being trapped by Calypso, the struggle to leave, it resonates, doesn't it? That feeling of being stuck, maybe in a comfortable rut, maybe by forces beyond your control.
Yeah, and the courage it takes to break free, to choose the difficult path towards what you truly want or need, and also figuring out who's genuinely helping, like I know, versus who's offering a gilded cage like Calypso initially. Discernment is key.
Absolutely. So Odysseus washes ashore, battered and naked, on the land of the Phaeacians, Scotiaria. And this leads to the incredible hospitality in Phaeacia.
This is where he meets the princess, Nausicaa.
Exactly. She and her maids are down by the river washing clothes. Odysseus emerges from the bushes, covered in grime and brine, looking terrifying. But Nausicaa, showing amazing composure and kindness for her age, doesn't run away.
She helps him.
She does. She recognizes his desperation, tells her maids he's a suppliant, and gives him clothes, food, olive oil to clean himself up. She offers guidance on how to approach her parents, the king and queen, just pure, innate decency and wisdom.
And the Phaeacians in general, they're depicted as almost perfect.
Almost utopian. They're dear to the gods, living apart from other mortals, famed for their magical, swift ships, their love of feasts, dancing, music, athletics. They represent a kind of ideal civilization, deeply connected to the divine, and crucially very hospitable to strangers. A massive contrast to, say, the Cyclops.
Their rulers are Alcinous and Arete.
Yes, King Alcinous and Queen Arete. Their palaces magnificent, gardens overflowing with fruit year-round, symbolizing perpetual abundance and peace. Homer gives these lush descriptions of their wealth in perfect order. It's like a haven.
And Odysseus knows how to navigate this, right? He approaches the queen first.
He does. He shows his wisdom again. He bypasses the king initially and goes straight to Queen Arete, clasping her knees in the formal gesture of supplication. He recognizes she holds significant influence in the household, the one whose favor he truly needs. It's smart diplomacy, even when he's basically a beggar.
They welcome him then, even without knowing who he is.
Oh, completely. They feast him, hold games in his honor, wrestling, running, discus. They showcase their athletic skills, but also their culture with the blind bard, Demodocus.
Ah, the bard. He sings some interesting tales, doesn't he?
He does. He sings about the quarrel between Odysseus and Achilles at Troy, which makes Odysseus weep silently. Then, to lighten the mood perhaps, he sings a more humorous story about the affair between Ares, the god of war, and Aphrodite, goddess of love, and how her husband Hephaestus caught them in an invisible net.
Ah, even the gods have drama.
Right. It shows a bit of divine fallibility, adds some levity. But then Demodocus sings again, this time about the Trojan horse.
Odysseus' greatest trick.
Exactly. And hearing this story, the story of his own cunning, his own triumph, but also the immense suffering it caused, Odysseus just breaks down. He tries to hide it, pulling his cloak over his head, but King Alcinous notices his guest's profound sorrow.
And that's the moment Alcinous finally asks.
Yes, he stops the song and says, basically, okay, clearly these stories are upsetting you deeply. Friend, it's time you told us who you are, where you're from, and what sorrows have brought you to our shores. The bard song has finally unlocked Odysseus' story.
And we are going to get into that incredible story right after this. Before we dive headfirst into Odysseus' own tales of monsters and magic, just a quick reminder, take a moment to hit that follow button if you haven't already.
You can find Artificially Literate on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, basically wherever you like to listen. We'd love for you to join us for every deep dive.
Absolutely. Okay, so Odysseus is about to reveal himself. But first, that feeling of relief, of finally being heard and helped, is captured beautifully in this quote Homer gives him as he thanks the Phaeacians.
As one who has been all day plowing a fallow field with a couple of oxen, keeps thinking about his supper, and is glad when night comes that he may go and get it, for it is all his legs can do to carry him, even so did Ulysses rejoice when the sun went down. And he at once said to the Phaeacians, addressing himself more particularly to King Alcinous, Sir, and all of you, farewell. Make your drink offerings and send me on my way rejoicing, for you have fulfilled my heart's desire by giving me an escort and making me presents, which heaven grant that I may turn to good account. May I find my admirable wife living in peace among friends, and may you, whom I leave behind me, give satisfaction to your wives and children. May heaven vouchsafe you every good grace, and may no evil thing come among your people.
That deep sigh of relief, that yearning for home, it just sets the stage perfectly for part 3. The darkest paths, and the ultimate homecoming. This is where Odysseus finally tells his own story. Odysseus' own tale. A reluctant revelation.
Right. He finally introduces himself, I am Odysseus, son of Laertes, and begins recounting the 10 years of wandering after the Trojan War. And he starts with the Cicones.
What happened there? Was it a smooth start?
Not exactly. They sacked the Ciconian city, Ismarus, successfully, got lots of plunder, women. But then Odysseus's men got greedy. They refused to leave quickly. They stayed on the beach, feasting, drinking.
Uh-oh. Hubris strikes early.
Big time. The Cicones regrouped with allies from inland, counterattacked at dawn, and drove the Greeks back to their ships with heavy losses. 6 men from each ship were killed, an immediate bloody lesson about discipline and the dangers of lingering too long after a victory.
Okay, lesson hopefully learned. What's next? The Lotus Eaters.
Briefly, yes,
Oh.
they land there, and the natives offer Odysseus's men the lotus fruit, which makes them forget their homes and want to stay there forever just eating lotus. Odysseus has to literally drag them back to the ships, kicking and screaming, and tie them to the benches to get them away. A temptation of blissful oblivion.
Seems like a recurring theme, the danger of forgetting the goal. Then comes the big one, right? The Cyclops, Polyphemus.
The big one indeed. They land on the Cyclops Island. Homer describes them as these lawless and inhuman giants. They have no laws, no assemblies, no agriculture, no sense of community. Each one lives in his own cave, rules his own family, doesn't care about neighbors. The complete opposite of civilization.
A vision of pure anarchy almost.
Exactly. And Odysseus, driven by curiosity and maybe a bit of that heroic desire for guest gifts, decides to check out one of the caves, taking 12 of his best men. His men actually advise him, let's just grab some cheeses and lambs and get out of here.
But Odysseus wants to meet the inhabitant.
He does. He wants that guest gift, Xenia. Huge mistake. The Cyclops, Polyphemus, returns, craps them by rolling a massive boulder across the entrance, and then proceeds to grab 2 men, bash their brains out, and eat them raw for dinner.
Oh, God. Just horrific,
Right.
brutal hospitality.
Absolutely terrifying. Odysseus realizes they can't kill the Cyclops because then they'd be trapped forever behind the boulder. He needs his wits.
This is where the no-man trick comes in.
Yes. Odysseus offers Polyphemus some strong, unmixed wine he brought. The Cyclops gets drunk and asks Odysseus his name. Odysseus cleverly says, "My name is No Man," or Audis in Greek, which sounds like nobody.
Gather.
Then, while Polyphemus is passed out drunk, Odysseus and his men take a huge olive stake they found, sharpen it, harden the tip in the fire, and plunge it into the Cyclops' single eye, blinding him.
Agony. He must have roared.
He roars in agony, and the other Cyclops nearby hear him and call out, "What's wrong, Polyphemus? Is someone hurting you?"
And he shouts,
"No man is hurting me. No man is killing me by treachery."
ha! So the others just think he's having a nightmare or is cursed by Zeus, and they leave him alone. Genius.
Pure genius. Then comes the escape. Polyphemus opens the cave in the morning to let his sheep out to graze, but he feels their backs as they pass, trying to catch any men hiding among them.
So how do they get out?
Odysseus ties his men underneath the bellies of the big woolly rams, 3 sheep per man. He himself clings to the underside of the largest ram. Polyphemus feels the tops of the sheep, but not underneath. They escape.
Incredible, cunning over brute force. But then Odysseus messes up, doesn't he?
He does, the fatal boast. As they're sailing away, safely out of throwing distance, or so he thinks, Odysseus just can't resist taunting the blinded giant. Polyphemus throws a huge boulder that nearly swamps the ship. The men plead with him, "Stop, don't provoke him."
That he doesn't listen.
No, his pride gets the better of him. He shouts back his real name. "If anyone asks who blinded you, tell them it was Odysseus, sacker of cities, son of Laertes, from Ithaca."
Oh, Odysseus? No.
Exactly. Polyphemus hears this, prays to his father, Poseidon, asking him to curse Odysseus to make sure he never gets home, or if he does, let it be late, alone in misery, and to find trouble waiting for him.
And Poseidon hears him. That's the root of so much trouble later on.
That's the moment. That one act of hubris, of needing the glory, earns him the relentless enmity of the sea god. It really drives home that tension between cleverness and arrogance. Victory can so easily lead to overconfidence, inviting disaster.
A powerful warning. Okay, where do they go after escaping the Cyclops?
They reach the island of Aeolus, the keeper of the winds. Aeolus is hospitable, feasts them for a month, and then gives Odysseus this amazing gift for his journey home.
The bag of winds.
Right. A tightly sealed oxhide bag containing all the winds except the gentle west wind, which Aeolus sets free to blow them straight towards Ithaca.
Perfect. Home free, surely.
You'd think. They sail for 9 days. Ithaca is literally in sight. Odysseus, exhausted, finally falls asleep. And his men, they get suspicious. They think the bag must be full of gold and silver that Odysseus is hoarding from them.
Oh no, don't open the bag.
Driven by greed and jealousy, that folly and blindness Homer mentions, they open the bag. Whoosh! All the storm winds rush out, creating a hurricane that blows them all the way back to Aeolus' island.
Devastating. So close. What does Aeolus say?
He's horrified. He realizes they must be cursed, abhorred of heaven, and refuses to help them again. Drives them away. A self-inflicted disaster caused by the crew's lack of trust and discipline.
Man, that's rough. What happens next? It gets worse, doesn't it?
Much worse, the Lastrygonians. They find a harbor surrounded by cliffs, with a narrow entrance. Most of the ships sail inside, but Odysseus cautiously anchors his own ship outside the harbor.
Good call.
Very good call. The Lastrygonians turn out to be giant cannibals. They attack the ships trapped in the harbor, smashing them with huge rocks and spearing the men like fish.
Oh my God. How many ships are lost?
All of them, except Odysseus's. 11 ships and hundreds of men wiped out in minutes. Just sheer, unavoidable destruction from monstrous forces. Odysseus cuts his cable and flees with his single remaining ship and crew.
Just devastating losses. Where can they even go after that?
They reach Aea, the island of the sorceress Circe, another beautiful place, but deeply unnerving. Odysseus sends a scouting party inland, led by Eurylochus.
And Circe seems welcoming at first.
Yeah, she invites them into her palace, offers them food and drink, but she's mixed a potion into it. It turns them into pigs. Physically pigs, but they still have their human minds trapped inside, weeping in their pens. Only Eurylochus, who suspected a trap and stayed outside, escapes to warn Odysseus.
Men turned into pigs. That's a powerful image, losing your humanity.
Exactly. Maybe being reduced to animal desires, losing reason to enchantment or temptation. Odysseus, bravely, goes to rescue his men.
Alone.
On the way, he meets the god Hermes, again in disguise. Hermes gives him a magical herb called Molly Blackroot, white flower which will protect him from Circe's magic. He tells Odysseus exactly how to handle her.
Divine help again. The Molly herb, what does it symbolize?
Maybe the power of knowledge or divine grace or self-control needed to resist harmful enchantments. It allows Odysseus to keep his wits about him.
So he confronts Circe.
Yes. She offers him the potion, he drinks it, but the Molly protects him. When she tries to strike him with her wand, he draws his sword, as Hermes instructed. Circe is astonished, recognizes him as Odysseus, prophecy foretold his arrival, and submits.
And she turns his men back.
He makes her swear a solemn oath not to harm him further, and then she restores his men to human form, actually makes them younger and more handsome than before.
Okay, crisis averted. Do they leave right away?
No. And here's another temptation. Circe becomes a gracious hostess, maybe even his lover. They end up staying on her island for a full year, feasting, relaxing.
A whole year after all that urgency to get home.
Exactly. It highlights that temptation isn't always monstrous. Sometimes it's just comfort, complacency, forgetting the mission. His men finally have to remind him, hey, shouldn't we be thinking about Ithaca?
Wow. So Circe finally agrees to let them go.
She does, but she tells Odysseus there's one more journey he must make first. A descent to the underworld, to Hades, to consult the ghost of the blind prophet Tiresias.
Go to the land of the dead. Why?
Only Tiresias can tell him the true path home and what awaits him there. It's the ultimate hero's trial, confronting death, destiny, and the ghosts of the past to find the way forward.
So Odysseus actually goes to Hades. What's it like?
It's grim. He performs the rites. Circe taught him digging a pit, pouring libations, sacrificing sheep, and the shades of the dead flutter up, eager for the blood. He has to hold them off with his sword until Tiresias appears.
And Tiresias gives him the prophecy.
Yes, Tiresias confirms he will get home, but warns him fiercely. Whatever you do, do not harm the sacred cattle of Helios, the sun god, on the island of Thrinacia. If they harm the cattle, his ship and men will be destroyed, and he'll return home late, alone, and find trouble.
A very specific warning. Does he prophesy anything else?
Yes, he also foretells that after Odysseus deals with the suitors, he must make one final journey inland, carrying an oar, until he meets people who know nothing of the sea and mistake the oar for a winnowing fan. There, he must plant the oar and make sacrifices to Poseidon to finally appease the sea god. Only then will he have a peaceful old age and a gentle death from the sea.
Wow. So his journey doesn't even end when he gets home. That's fascinating. Does he meet anyone else down there?
Oh, yes. It's a who's who of the Greek afterlife. He speaks with his mother, Anticlea, and tragically learns she died of grief, waiting for him. That hits him hard. He tries to embrace her, but she's just a shadow.
Heartbreaking. Who else?
He talks to Agamemnon, who gives that bitter account of his own murder by Clytemnestra and Aegisthus, warning Odysseus emphatically not to trust women too much, not even Penelope, until he's sure.
Yikes. Talk about trust issues.
Then he meets Achilles, the greatest warrior, and Achilles delivers that stunning line. He'd rather be a hired hand for a poor farmer on earth than be king of all the dead. A total rejection of the heroic code of glory, Kleos, in favor of life, however humble.
That's profound. Glory isn't worth it in the end.
Not according to Achilles in the afterlife. Odysseus also sees famous mythological sinners suffering eternal punishments. Pantalus, forever thirsty and hungry with food and water just out of reach. Sisyphus, endlessly pushing that boulder uphill only to have it roll down again.
What's the point of showing those punishments?
It drives home the Greek concept of divine justice, the lasting consequences of hubris or transgression against the gods, and maybe the futility of certain kinds of struggle. It makes you think, what are the boulders we push in our own lives?
Deep stuff. Okay, so Odysseus gets the prophecy, learns about his mom, sees some old comrades, then he heads back to Circe.
Back to the land of the living, yes. Circe gives them further warnings about the dangers ahead. The sirens, whose irresistible song lures sailors to their deaths.
How does he handle them?
He follows Circe's advice, plugs his men's ears with beeswax so they can't hear. But Odysseus, wanting to experience everything, has himself tied tightly to the mast, ordering his men not to release him no matter how much he begs. He hears the sirens' beautiful, knowledge-promising song, writhes against the ropes, but survives.
Cunning and curious, even in the face of death, what's next? Scylla and Charybdis.
The ultimate. Between a rock and a hard place, Circe warns him. Charybdis is a giant whirlpool that sucks down entire ships 3 times a day. Scylla is a 6-headed monster hidden in a cliff cave who snatches sailors off the deck. Circe advises sailing closer to Scylla, saying it's better to lose 6 men than the whole ship.
Horrible choice. What does Odysseus do?
He doesn't tell his men about Scylla, fearing they'd panic. As they carefully navigate past Charybdis, Scylla strikes, snatching 6 of his best men from the deck. Odysseus hears their screams, sees them lifted into the air. He calls it the most pitiful sight he saw on his whole journey. But the ship gets through.
Just relentless horror. And now they reach Thrinacia, the island of the sun god's cattle. Tiresias and Circe both warned him.
Explicitly warned him, do not touch the cattle.
Yeah.
But they get stranded there for a month by bad winds, their supplies run out, the men are starving. Odysseus goes inland to pray, falls asleep.
Oh no, while the cat's away.
Eurylochus, the same guy who was wary of Circe, now makes a disastrous argument. He says famine is the worst way to die. Better to eat the cattle, risk the god's anger, and maybe die quickly at sea than waste away from hunger. The starving men agree.
They slaughter the sacred cattle.
They do. Helios, the sun god, is enraged, demands vengeance from Zeus. Once they finally set sail, Zeus sends a furious storm. A thunderbolt shatters the ship. All the men are killed.
All of them, for that one act.
All of them. Punishment for their disobedience, driven by desperation. Only Odysseus survives, clinging to the ship's mast and keel. He drifts for days, gets sucked back towards Charybdis, barely survives that again by clinging to a fig tree, and eventually washes ashore. Where?
On Calypso's island. Ogygia.
Exactly. Which brings his story full circle, back to where we first found him at the start of the poem, recounting this whole epic saga to the Phaeacians.
Wow, what a journey. Just loss after loss, trial after trial. Okay, so the Phaeacians, moved by his story, agree to take him home.
Yes. They load him with more gifts than he won at Troy, put him on one of their magically swift ships, and he falls into a deep, God-sent sleep. They arrive at Ithaca, carry him ashore while he's still sleeping, leave the treasure beside him under an olive tree, and sail away. The return to Ithaca and the final reckoning begins.
But Poseidon gets the last word with the Phaeacians, doesn't he?
He does. Furious that they helped his enemy, he complains to Zeus, who allows him to turn the returning Phaeacian ship into stone, rooting it to the seabed just outside their harbor, fulfilling an old prophecy and serving as a chilling warning against defying him.
So Odysseus wakes up on Ithaca, but he doesn't recognize it.
No. Athena has shrouded the land in mist, partly to protect him, partly to test him. He thinks the Phaeacians dumped him somewhere unknown. He's despairing again.
But Athena appears.
Yes, disguised as a young shepherd at first. She reassures him he is in Ithaca, then reveals herself, smiling at his cautious, skeptical nature. She confirms the situation, the suitors, the danger, and she transforms him.
Into the old beggar.
Exactly. Yeah. Withers his skin, dims his eyes, dresses him in rags. It's the perfect disguise to scout out the situation without being recognized. Her aid is constant, strategic.
Where does he go first? Straight to the palace.
No, Athena tells him to go first to the hut of his loyal swineherd Eumaeus.
And Eumaeus takes him in, even as a beggar.
Wholeheartedly. Eumaeus embodies loyalty and the sacred laws of hospitality, xenia, even in his humble hut. He welcomes the stranger, offers him food and shelter, curses the suitors, and mourns for his lost master Odysseus, all while Odysseus is sitting right there, testing his faithfulness.
Yeah.
It's deeply moving.
A beacon of loyalty in a sea of betrayal. Does anything else recognize him?
Oh, the moment that gets everyone. The dog Argos. As Odysseus and Eumaeus approach the palace, Odysseus sees his old hunting dog Argos, whom he raised as a puppy just before leaving for Troy, now ancient, neglected, lying on a dung heap outside the gates.
20 years later.
20 years. Argos recognizes his master's voice and scent, even in disguise. He lifts his head, wags his tail, tries to get up, is too weak. And then he dies, having seen his master one last time.
Oh, man. Tears. Such powerful symbolism of loyalty, decay, the passage of time.
It really is. So Odysseus enters his own home as a beggar. How are the suitors?
Predictably awful. Melanthius, the disloyal goatherd, insults and kicks him. Antinous, the lead suitor, yells at him for begging, refuses him food, and even throws a footstool, hitting Odysseus on the shoulder. And Odysseus just takes it.
He endures it, stands firm like a rock. Homer says his heart growled within him, but he controls his rage, biding his time, assessing his enemies. It's a test of incredible self-control. Even Telemachus has to watch, helpless for now, fuming inside.
Then there's the fight with Iris, another beggar.
Yeah, Iris is the resident beggar, kind of the suitor's pet. He gets jealous of the newcomer and challenges Odysseus to a fight, egged on by the suitors who promise the winner food.
How does that go?
Odysseus tries to warn Iris off, but Iris insists. So Odysseus rolls up his rags, revealing surprisingly muscular arms and thighs. Athena helps a bit. He floors Iris with a single, carefully measured punch, breaking his jaw, but not killing him. Drags him outside.
A little glimpse of the power underneath the disguise. A warning shot.
Exactly. The suitors are amused, but maybe a little unnerved too. Then Penelope decides to make an appearance.
Ah, Penelope's interview. Does she recognize him?
No, not consciously. But Athena makes her appear even more beautiful, stirring the suitor's desire. She cleverly addresses the suitors, chiding them for consuming her wealth instead of bringing her gifts if they truly want to woo her. Then she asks to speak with the mysterious beggar.
Why? What does she want?
She wants to ask him if he has any news of Odysseus. She tests him, asking about Odysseus's clothes, his companions. Odysseus spins a convincing, detailed story about hosting Odysseus years ago, making Penelope weep with renewed grief and hope. He praises her faithfulness, mentioning her shroud trick. It's an incredibly tense scene, full of dramatic irony.
She's so close, yet so far from recognizing him. Does anyone recognize him fully?
Yes. Later that night, Penelope instructs the old nurse, Euryclea, to wash the beggar's feet in act of hospitality.
Euryclea, the one who knew Telemachus, left. She was Odysseus's nurse too, right?
Yes. And as she washes his legs, her hands find a distinctive scar above his knee, a scar he got from a boar's tusk during a hunt in his youth.
She knows the scar.
Instantly. She drops his foot, gasps, tears fill her eyes. She looks up at him, about to cry out his name, Euryclea's recognition. It's a deeply personal, powerful moment.
What does Odysseus do?
He quickly grabs her throat gently, pulls her close, and fiercely whispers, swearing her to silence. He knows the time isn't right. Revealing himself now would ruin everything. Euryclea, loyal as ever, understands and keeps the secret.
The tension is just unbearable. Okay, so the climax is approaching, the trial of the bow. What prompts this?
Penelope, perhaps inspired by a dream or by Athena, or just reaching the end of her rope, announces the contest. She brings out Odysseus's enormous legendary bow, which only he could string. She declares she will marry whichever suitor can string the bow and shoot an arrow cleanly through the handle holes of 12 axes lined up in a row.
An impossible task for anyone but Odysseus.
Pretty much. The suitors try, one by one. They warm the bow, grease it. None of them can even bend it enough to string it. They fail miserably.
Telemachus tries too, doesn't he?
He does, and he shows surprising strength. He almost strings it on his 4th try, but Odysseus gives him a subtle signal, a slight shake of the head telling him to stop. Telemachus understands and backs down, cleverly saying he's too young or weak. It shows his maturity and his alliance with his father.
So after all the suitors failed, the beggar asks for a turn.
Yes. Odysseus, the old beggar, humbly asks if he might try, just to see if he still has his old strength. Antinous furiously refuses, insults him again, but Penelope insists the stranger be given a chance, shaming Antinous. Telemachus then steps in, orders his mother to go to her chambers, and asserts his authority, saying the bow is his concern now. He tells Eumaeus to give the beggar the bow.
The moment has arrived.
Odysseus handles the bow expertly, checks it like a musician checking his lyre. The suitors mock him. He strings it effortlessly with a sound like a swallow's song. Then he plucks the string. It rings out like a clear note. Zeus sends a crack of thunder overhead. Odysseus takes an arrow, aims.
And shoots it through all 12 axes?
Perfectly. Silence falls. Then Odysseus signals Telemachus, who straps on his sword and stands by his father. The time for reckoning is here. The slaughter of the suitors.
How does it go down? Is it a fair fight?
Not exactly fair, but divinely sanctioned justice in Homer's world. Odysseus throws off his rags, leaps onto the threshold, prays to Apollo, and shoots Antinous through the throat as he's lifting a cup to drink. Chaos erupts.
The suitors are trapped, right? No weapons.
Telemachus had removed all the weapons from the hall earlier. Eumaeus and Philaetius, the loyal cowherd, had locked the doors. The suitors are trapped rats. Odysseus reveals himself, declares their doom for disrespecting his house and the gods. Eurymachus tries to rally them, then tries to bargain, but Odysseus refuses.
So it's a massacre.
A brutal, bloody massacre. Odysseus, Telemachus, Eumaeus, and Philaetius, aided by Athena, who appears sometimes as mentor, sometimes deflecting arrows, sometimes showing her terrifying aegis, systematically kill every single suitor. Arrows fly, spears are thrown, the hall runs with blood. It's swift, total, and described in graphic detail.
What about the disloyal servants?
After the suitors are dead, Odysseus calls out the dozen or so maids who had slept with the suitors and disrespected Penelope. He makes them clean up the horrific mess, drag out the bodies, wash the blood from the furniture, and then Telemachus hangs them all together in the courtyard. A grim end for their disloyalty.
Wow. Order is restored, but violently. So now Odysseus has to face Penelope. Is she convinced?
Not immediately. Euryclea rushes upstairs, overjoyed, tells Penelope Odysseus is back and has killed the suitors. But Penelope's skepticism is profound. She's wary. After 20 years, can it really be him? Maybe it's a trick. Maybe a god killed the suitors. She comes downstairs but keeps her distance, observing him silently.
He doesn't just rush into his arms. That feels real.
Very real. Odysseus, cleaned up and enhanced by Athena, looks godlike, but Penelope is still cautious. Telemachus actually gets angry with her. "Mother, how can you be so hard-hearted?" But Penelope says they have secret signs, ways of knowing each other.
The final test. The bed.
The final brilliant test. Penelope tells Euryclea to move Odysseus's bed out of their master bedroom so the stranger can sleep on it.
But the bed can't be moved.
Exactly. Odysseus knows this. He flares up, genuinely angry. "Who moved my bed? It's impossible." He describes how he himself built it years ago from a massive olive tree that grew inside the bedroom, crafting the bedpost from the living trunk, building the room around it. It's rooted to the earth. Only he and Penelope and one trusted servant knew this secret.
And that's what convinces her.
That's the proof. Her knees go weak, tears stream down her face, and she finally runs to him, throwing her arms around him. The joyful, tearful reunion after 20 long years. It's an incredibly moving, earned climax.
Finally. But there's still his father, right, Laertes?
One more reunion needed. Odysseus goes out to the countryside the next day to find his father. Reunion with Laertes. He finds him digging miserably in his neglected orchard, old, grieving, dressed in rags. Odysseus initially tests him too, pretending to be someone else, but seeing his father's overwhelming grief, he reveals himself, showing the scar.
Another emotional reunion.
Deeply emotional. Laertes almost faints with joy. Athena then intervenes again, restoring Laertes' strength and appearance, making him look tall and godlike, ready for one last fight if necessary.
Which might be needed because the suitors' families aren't happy.
Not at all. News of the slaughter spreads. The families gather, outraged. Eupeithes, Antinous' father, leads them, calling for vengeance against Odysseus. They arm themselves and march towards Odysseus' farm. This leads to the final section, the restoration of peace.
So one last battle.
It almost comes to that. Odysseus, Telemachus, Laertes, Eumaeus, and a few loyal servants prepare to fight. Laertes, invigorated, even kills Eupeithes with a spear throw. But just as a full-blown civil war is about to erupt.
Athena and Zeus step in.
Yes, Zeus gives Athena permission to establish peace. She flies down, looking like Mentor, and shouts in a terrifying voice, telling the Ithacans to stop the fighting. They drop their weapons in fear. She then establishes a formal peace covenant.
What does the covenant say?
Basically, Odysseus is confirmed as king. Crucially, Athena makes the families forgive and forget the massacre of their sons and brothers. They swear oaths to live in peace and friendship, with Odysseus ruling justly. Divine authority imposes reconciliation.
Which brings up that question, can peace be forced? Can you truly forget such violence? Or is it about stopping the cycle of revenge for the good of society?
Homer seems to suggest the latter. The gods decree peace, and mortals accept it. It's about restoring order, ensuring the kingdom's future, even if the forgetting might be divinely assisted. It makes you think about reconciliation in our world. How much is genuine forgiveness? How much is a necessary agreement to move forward?
A really complex ending, actually. And that brings us to our final provocative thought for you, our listeners.
The Odyssey doesn't just end with Odysseus back home, peace restored. Remember Tiresias' prophecy in the underworld, that promise of another journey Odysseus still has to undertake.
Right, carrying that oar inland until someone mistakes it for a winnowing fan, then making peace with Poseidon. And his death will come from the sea, gentle and in old age.
So what does this final, enduring quest, this journey after the homecoming, suggest about the true nature of a hero's life? Or maybe about our own lives?
Perhaps it suggests that true peace, real understanding, isn't a final destination. It comes through continuous striving, ongoing self-discovery, maybe even making amends for past actions. The journey of growth, it seems, never truly ends. It just keeps shaping us.
Something to reflect on. And speaking of wisdom in character, here's a quote from Penelope when she's speaking to the disguised Odysseus, reflecting on reputation and action.
For how, sir, shall you be able to learn whether or no I am superior to others of my sex, both in goodness of heart and understanding, if I let you dine in my cloisters squalid and ill-clad? Men live but for a little season. If they are hard and deal hardly, people wish them ill so long as they are alive, and speak contemptuously of them when they are dead. But he that is righteous and deals righteously, the people tell of his praise among all lands, and many shall call him blessed.
And the final lines of the epic describing the peace Athena enforces.
Now that Ulysses is revenged, let them swear to a solemn covenant, in virtue of which he shall continue to rule, while we cause the others to forgive and forget the massacre of their sons and brothers. Let them then all become friends as heretofore, and let peace and plenty reign.
And with that restoration of peace, our deep dive into Homer's The Odyssey comes to a close. Thank you so much for joining us here on Artificially Literate.
We really hope you found some insights into this enduring quest for home, for justice, for self-discovery, and maybe saw some reflections of your own journey in Odysseus's long and winding path.
Don't forget to check out our other deep dives for more explorations like this one. You can follow Artificially Literate wherever you get your podcasts or listen on YouTube.
And please stay tuned. We'll be back soon with our next bug, our next idea, our next deep dive. Thanks for listening.